On Maline's funeral day, her son James ran to her grave and with tears in his eyes, he screamed, "Mom, please save me! They are about to take me away!" Just as he was weeping, he saw something weird inside the coffin. What he saw stopped the funeral. Right from her childhood days, Maline was diligent and focused. She had a rough start in life, but with determination and hard work, she climbed the ladder of success. Now at 32, she owned several cars, houses, and a successful real estate and a catering business. Whenever she went, she turned heads and young ladies looked up to her. Everyone would always say, "Hey look, there goes a smart and beautiful woman." No one would ever believe that this vibrant woman once slept under bridges, walked barefoot and went days without food. But despite how diligent Maline was, there was one area where she didn't make the best of choices: relationships. She had an innocent heart and believed no one would intentionally hurt her. She also loved so hard and trusted easily. Unfortunately, men used all that against her. To make matters worse, she couldn't tell when someone genuinely loved her and when they were faking it. She was naive and kind to a fault. After several betrayals, Maline was beginning to give up on love. Perhaps it wasn't meant for her. Well, it was at this point that Lucas showed up in her life and oh boy, he seemed like the answer to her prayer. The duo started as business partners and within a few weeks, Lucas expressed his undying love for Maline. He was worldly and intelligent, so he gave Maline useful business tips that helped her business grow. "You're the man I have always longed for. I loved you even before I met you," Maline told Lucas one night. Every morning this man would send flowers, chocolates, or love notes to Maline's office. Despite how sweet Lucas was, Maline's younger brother, Pedro, was against the relationship. "Why are you so blind that you can't see that he's faking it? He's only after your money," he scolded her one morning. Pedro loved his sister so much and it hurt him to see her getting used and dumped by men. When they were younger, Maline sacrificed her sleep, time, food, money and everything else for her little brother. Now he felt the least he could do was to protect her from bad guys. However, whenever Pedro warned Maline about Lucas, she just replied that Lucas was different. "It's real this time around. He sincerely loves me, and I want you to be happy for me," she would tell him. Maline and Lucas continued dating and they built something meaningful, strong, and beautiful. Then one day, Lucas went over to Maline's office and asked her to come to the hallway. When she got there, what she saw made her burst into tears. There was a band of musicians playing her favorite song. Right then, Lucas went down on one knee and said, "I will be the happiest man on earth if you agree to be my wife. Maline, will you marry me?" Maline's heart pounded in her chest. She heard voices in her head screaming, "Say yes," but deep down, she felt she wasn't ready. She didn't even see the proposal coming, and that's understandable because they had just been together for a month. Wasn't it all happening so fast? Regardless of her inner confusion, Maline found herself screaming, "Yes, yes Lucas, I will marry you." After all, wasn't love about taking risks? So she decided this was her cross to bear, and she believed everything would be fine. Later that evening, Maline broke the news to her brother and he congratulated her. Maybe he was wrong after all. Maybe Lucas was a good man. When the wedding was 4 months away, Maline found out that she was pregnant. She was as happy as a lark. She couldn't believe she was about to make Lucas a father. She decided to break the news to him in an elaborate way, so she made him a special dinner. After day 8, Maline put on some music and they danced. Afterwards she kissed his forehead and told him, "I will be right back." Then she went into the room and came out with a covered plate. She stood in front of him and asked him to open the plate. When Lucas did, his eyes widened in terror. He couldn't believe he was staring at a positive pregnancy test. With a big smile on her face, Maline said, "I am carrying your child." However, nothing could have prepared her for Lucas' next action. He suddenly became enraged and he flung the plate. "That thing in your stomach doesn't belong to me. Are you crazy? I'm married. I have a wife whom I love so much and I have 4 adorable kids who mean the world to me." Maline couldn't believe her ears. For a few seconds, she thought she was in a stage and she and Lucas were acting. It wasn't until she saw him walking out of the house while hitting everything on his path that she realized it was reality. When Lucas got to the door, he warned her to stay out of his life. Maline sank to the ground and wept her soul out. Luckily for her, during this trying period, her brother stood by her side. In due time, Malene delivered a baby boy, James, and she and her Pedro showered them with a lot of love. James didn't care that his father wasn't part of his life. He was content with the care and affection that he got from his mom and uncle. Even when the kids at school laughed at him for not having a dad, he didn't let their words get to him. He told them that his mom's love was enough for him. Malene and James did everything together. The doting mother knew she could survive any obstacle with James by her side. Unfortunately, when James turned 8, Malene fell ill. Sadly, a trip to the hospital reveals she had liver cancer. She was put on chemotherapy. Unfortunately, as months passed by, all treatments stopped working and the doctors told Malene to say goodbye to her family. Some months later, Malene passed away in the presence of her beloved son and younger brother. That same day, while Pedro was talking to the doctors, Lucas suddenly showed up at the hospital and he walked up to James. "Hey son, I know I haven't been in your life. I'm so sorry, but your mother is evil and she didn't let me see you. I'm here for you now," he said, but James hid behind Pedro and screamed at Lucas to go away. "You're not my dad. I don't know you," he yelled. The next day, Lucas visited the hospital unannounced and barged into James's room. He grabbed the little boy's hands and tried to take him away, but Pedro stopped him and asked James to go upstairs. After the boy left, Lucas let out a devilish laugh. "I will take everything your sister worked for, including her son," he said, and waved the paper in Pedro's face. The paper was a fake will which Lucas had created and that gave him full access to Malene's fortune. Pedro couldn't believe Lucas would go that far, but he was determined to win the battle. But for now, he wanted to focus on his sister's funeral rites. 2 days later, friends and family gathered in the house to bury Malene. She was placed in a coffin, and everyone took turns to say their goodbye. Just then, James suddenly heard some men screaming in the hallway, and he rushed over there. He saw his uncle and Lucas arguing, and he eavesdropped on their conversation. James heard Lucas loud and clear when he said, "That boy is mine. I'm going to take him away, and there's nothing you can do about it." The little boy couldn't imagine living with such a wicked man. He was so scared, so he rushed to his mother's coffin and placed his hand around the casket. "Mom, please save me. That strange man wants to take me away. Save me," he wept. A few seconds later, his eyes got a document inside the coffin. Although he couldn't see the paper clearly, he saw his name written on the front page. The little boy quickly suspected that something was wrong and he asked that the casket be opened. There was chaos everywhere and the priests stopped the funeral rites. Some people even tried to pull James away from the coffin. Just then, Pedro showed up and asked the pallbearers to fulfill the boy's wish. As soon as they opened the coffin, James rushed there, grabbed the document and gave it to his uncle. Pedro couldn't believe his eyes, and he recognized what the document was. It was his sister's original will. As it turned out, Lucas had bribed Celine's lawyer to give him the original will. Before the funeral started, he also bribed one of the pallbearers to drop the will in the casket so Celine could be buried with it. Lucas was later arrested by the police and sentenced to jail. According to the original will, Celine made James her heir. He would have access to the properties and businesses once he turned 18, but before then, Pedro would be in charge of everything. Awesome ending, I must say. What do you think about this story? Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.